In the other semifinal, we have the always deadly Seitini playing against Naitov. Naitov recently pulled off an impressive victory over Lin in NGL, but more importantly, he beat Seitini in a previous in-cup this season. Seitini, on the other hand, has had an amazing season in the Warcraft 3 Champions League, and yet another strong in-cup season. Naitov comes out very strong in the first game. He takes out Seitini's Ancient of War, which sets him up perfectly for a Tier 2 push. Seitini just doesn't have the time to build up any sort of army to counter the Dryads. If Seitini had the Ancient of War, he could have built up enough archers to keep the game close, but instead he goes to the second game already in a must-win situation. This time they both easily get to Tier 3 as they spawn on opposite sides of Turtle Rock. It looks like Naitov took the early advantage, but Seitini takes some of it back with a Naga kill as Naitov retreats back to his base. Seitini tries to push whatever advantage he has into Naitov's base, but he can't manage to do much with it. The battle ends looking like Naitov has the advantage, but Seitini saved 4 red health bears to even it up. Both players run out of gold and move to a new gold mine. Seitini takes a huge advantage by taking out Naitov's Ancients of Lore and rides it all the way to the game win. For Game 3 on Echo Isles, it starts well for Seitini. He forces a town portal and steals a ton of creeps early on, but once we get to bears, that little advantage doesn't really matter much. Seitini uses his awesome micro to force Naitov out of his base. Seitini buys a Wand of Illusion from the market and uses it to win the final battle easily as he advances to the upper bracket finals. Winners and Seitini both made it to the upper bracket finals. The two Night Elf players will face off on Turtle Rock in the first match. Winners starts off with some extra archer kills early on. Seitini outcreeps him, but Winners still wants to fight. Both players lose a bear, but other than that, nothing happens. Winners comes back, and now he has 2 more bears than Seitini, but he can't finish the job off. It takes him 5 minutes, but he makes it back into Seitini's base and dominates him to take the first game. Just like the semifinal, Seitini has to win 2 straight games to advance. Game 2 starts off perfectly for Seitini. He gets a Demon Hunter and a bear kill. In the next battle, Seitini manages to save a few more bears than Winners does and force a town portal. Both players back off and creep. When they come back, Seitini brings a couple more bears to the fight. Both players use a Scroll of Protection, hoping to gain an advantage, but neither of them do. Seitini keeps his extra few bears alive, and neither player manages to save very many. In the end, Seitini manages to pull out the victory and force a Game 3. In Game 3, Seitini sacrifices some speed in his build order to use a Wisp to try and turn the creeps onto Winners' Ancient of War, but all he manages to do is lose the Wisp. That gives Winners a huge advantage in terms of time very early in the game, and he makes it over to Seitini's Ancient of War to steal some creeps. Despite having 4 fewer archers, Seitini still wants to attack, but his aggression is punished by a surround. Rather than go all the way to bears, Winners goes for a quick push with Druids of the Talent. Seitini tries to get to bears, but Winners doesn't give him the time to get there. Winners goes on to the grand finals, while Seitini drops down to the losers bracket, where he will play Who in the losers bracket finals. First map of Who against Seitini is Twisted Meadows. Seitini goes straight to bears, while Who tries to go for Troll Witch Doctors. He doesn't get there in time, and Seitini has a huge lead early. Even though he has the advantage, he can't finish off Who. Finally, Who gets a large enough army to force Seitini to back off. He expands and then goes after Seitini's expansion, Who absolutely massacres him in the next battle. But the Panda manages to start a comeback with a ton of kills from Breath of Fire. Who comes back to fight again, but this time he faces the Panda and a level 6 Demon Hunter. He desperately tries to take the expansion down, but he doesn't have the army, and Seitini turns around the first game to give himself the victory. In Game 2, Who goes for some very hard harassment. He gets 3 archer kills. That's something that Seitini just cannot give him. But the bleeding doesn't stop there. A 4-corner surround on the Beastmaster starts the bleeding for Seitini. He was never able to stop it, and Who gets a very quick victory in the second game. In the third game, Who again tries to fight before Seitini can make it to bears. This time, Who uses Wyvern to try and win the game quickly. Seitini manages to force him out of his base, but that's about all he can do. Both players back off and mass their armies. When they come back, Who has a ton of Wyvern, and Seitini has nothing to deal with the air. But he has bears to deal with the ground battle, which he dominates. He buys himself a little bit of time with the town portal to get some anti-air. He chooses Hippogriffs, which tie up the Wyvern long enough for the bears and Demon Hunter to dominate the Blade Master. With that, Who concedes the game and takes 3rd place, while Seitini will have a chance for 1st place if he can beat Winners in 2 straight best-of-3s.